So we have to evaluate this integral. Now I could use partial fractions, but I'm just gonna break it down into like individual fractions here and then try to simplify from there. So what I mean by that is that I'll just do x squared over x to the fourth power minus 2x over x to the fourth power minus 3 over x to the fourth power dx. And so now I could just simplify. So if I cancel this one, I get 2. If I cancel this one, I get 3. And then writing this out more clearly, I get 1 over x squared minus 2 over x cubed minus 3 x to the fourth power dx. And now it's a little bit easier to integrate and evaluate. So I should just write this down a bit more neatly here. So 1 over x to the second power minus minus 2x to the third power minus 3x to the fourth power dx. So now I could just write it down in terms of its, well, like that. Minus 2x to the negative third power in terms of negative exponents instead of leaving positive exponents, so it's easier to find the antiderivative. So since you just add 1, so it's going to be like this. So minus 2 plus 1. Now I'm finding the antiderivative. Minus 2 plus 1 minus 2 x to the power of negative 3 plus 1 over negative 3 plus 1 minus 3 x to the negative 4 plus 1 negative 4 plus 1. Okay. And then we evaluate this at 1 to 2. So let's simplify the expression. So it should be negative x to the negative 1 minus 2 negative 2, excuse me, x to the negative 2 over negative 2 minus 3 x to the negative 3 over negative 3 from 1 to 2. Okay, I'm out of space. So we just write this down. X to the negative 1 minus 2 x to the negative 2 over negative 2 minus 3 x to the negative 3 x to the negative 3 over negative 3. So these ones will cancel, get positive. These ones will cancel, you get positive, since negative times negative is positive. And you evaluate this entire expression from 1 to 2. And so we get finally minus x to the negative 1 plus x to the negative 2 plus x to the negative 3, evaluated from 1 to 2. Now we do some substitution. So minus 2 to the negative 1, we're substituting 2, which is the upper limit. Then 2 to the negative 2 plus 2 to the negative 3. We have to subtract. Now it's since we're substituting the lower limit this time, we just add 1. We just substitute 1, so it's just negative 1 here, plus 1 here, plus 1 here. since the inverse of 1, that is 1 to the negative 1, is essentially 1. And this one will cancel. You get 1 here this side. So next page. So it's negative a half, negative a half, negative a quarter, plus a quarter rather, plus an eighth, plus 1 over 8, and of course I have to subtract 1, and then you have to evaluate this. So I find that the lowest common denominator is 8, so I just multiply this by 4, negative 4 over 2 over 8 rather. I just multiply the top and the bottom by 4. Then I multiply this one by 2, so 2 over 8 plus 1 over 8 minus 1. Minus 1 is what? It's 8 over 8, right? It's 8 over 8. Just have to remove that little. It's 8 over 8, so it'll be easier to deal with this one. So it's minus 4 plus 2 minus 1 plus 2 plus 1 rather, minus 8 over 8. And if you do this, so minus 4 plus 2 is negative 2 plus 1 is negative 1, so it's minus 9 over 8. That's your final answer.